Go.
So this time is so different than the last two times because now I know each and every one of you. We had an opportunity to talk on the phone. We've seen all the wonderful things you've written. I've actually even met a couple of you. So it's now like you're really visiting us here in the Vintage Red Showroom, which is so nice. And you're all my friends. You're all my extended family. But before we go to the line, I did want to introduce you to Johnny Jr. So Johnny Jr. is a merchandiser in the Garment Center in New York City. So, and he goes around wherever I go. So the next time I come and visit you, ask to see little Johnny Jr. All right? It's all right? It's all right. Okay. So here we're going to talk about summer 2012. You guys are going to be getting this delivery. It's one shot coming in sort of towards the end of June. And the colors of summer tell you a lot about the group. There's Chlorine, there's Normandy, there's Horizon, there's Blossom. So it's all about summertime, and the living is definitely very easy. So think of boats, think of sand, think of water, and think of the sky. And when you pull all those together, you have Summer 12's capsule. So the first shirt I'm going to show you is our star print shirt. It's a short sleeve shirt, and it's on our famous cambric fabric, which you guys now know very intimately. And one of the big trends in the market, besides our traditional big all-over prints, are these little small prints. Now I know the first one that you guys had for spring was a little tougher, and we think maybe perhaps it was because of the white ground, and it was a little sheer. So we're curious to see how you're going to do on the blue ground. But definitely small is the trend, and stars is definitely the trend. The next is a plaid that has chlorine in it. And not necessarily chlorine like you put in your pool, but it's definitely like that color, and that's why we're calling it chlorine. The important thing about this plaid is that also it has a great embroidery detail on it. So we're hoping to hit home again with the, or hit a home run I should say, you can see how much ball I play, with the embroidered shirt just like you guys did for spring. Our next are our two solids. The first one is a safari silhouette, which we have had a lot of success with. It's in the cambric fabric, it's short sleeve, and it's got this great pin tucking. Also the color is pink. So you know how well you did with Romp for spring. So this is what we call Blossom. And Blossom is a softer pink color. And what's really interesting is that what we like to think about in regards to these colors also is if you think about summer icicles and popsicles that you'll be eating and slurping and licking and all that kind of stuff, because it's that kind of coloration that we're looking for. The next is our white cambric, and we're curious to see how this does. But what's interesting here and what's really nice is the detailing of the cuff. It's actually a French cuff on a short sleeve. So what you traditionally see is a French cuff in a suit, in a long sleeve shirt that you'd wear under your suit. You actually see it here in the short sleeve, which is really kind of novel and neat. Also, it's got a little bit of hardware on it, and it's got the two slash pockets. Although short sleeves have done really well for you guys for your second delivery of spring, we continue to always do well with long sleeves, especially when they're roll-ups. So this is a textured dobby with lots of color. It's a roll-up, and what's really nice is that you get a lot of texturing from the dobby, and it's very colorful. Also, what you'll see is it's got some really great stitch detail with contrast color going down the placket and on the shirt. The next is definitely what we're hoping will be the update of our Parker Posey shirt. And this is our big all-over paisley, and it's done with a tie-dye dip dye effect. And that's very much on trend. So if I was going to put a shirt on a mannequin, if I was going to put a shirt on a front of a fixture, I would definitely go with this guy. It's a roll-up. It's our paisley that we always sort of do, but really updated through trend by the whole dip dye effect. Second to last is a really great plaid. Now what's interesting here is that you've all talked about how well you've done with the roll-up sleeves. So we've done a really great roll-up in the short sleeve. And what's also very important is if this is a little, not enough room under the arm for the guy, this can be opened up, rolled down, and worn as a regular short sleeve. But it has a lot of great color on it, and we're hoping that this stands out on the selling floor. And then our last, in our summertime group, which really hits home a lot. And that's why what I like to say is, you know, the colors in the group, think about this, is Normandy, which was a ship. The ship is in the water where there's chlorine, although typically there's not chlorine in the ocean, but there's water and chlorine. One of our colors is officer. So there's an officer, and then at night they're looking up at the stars, and while they're on the ship, they're looking off at the horizon. So, but this shirt really sort of, in short sleeve, I think is your big fashion shirt, and really will be, again, an item to put up on the mannequins, on the front of the fixtures. And it's got this whole horizontal striping, and that's a really big trend. That's really important, and again, you have sort of that dip dye effect going on in the shirt, and you have the epaulettes, and it's done on our cambric fabric. So summer is short, sweet, and enjoyable, so go out and enjoy the beach.